Hey y'all, I'm back. Now we're going to start making some of that grape jelly using gemelli from Ball. It's just a quick reminder though, I'm not sponsored by any products that have been used. It's just what I use. It's just my take on it. But anyway, let's get started. First we're going to take our gemelli. As you can see, the stirring blade is out right now. It's just to make things a little bit easier. First we'll start with 3 cups of regular grape juice. And it might be worthy to note, if you decide to look for a juice to try this yourself, you want to get either the kind I used, which you'll see in the thumbnail, or put right here, Welch's from Concentrate. But you want to do it with the key thing is no sugar added. That or you'll try to mess with your recipe a little bit. So let's go ahead and add the last bit of our 3 cups of grape juice. Now we'll set our stir in gemelli. Alright, excuse me. When you got to this stage, you want to put at least half, about a pat of butter. It's like about half a tablespoon of butter in the juice with it. And what this butter will do is actually keep the foaming down. It makes the jelly give it a better appearance, and it makes it run less risk of it trying to boil over, which has happened to me in my course of experimentation with this. Now that we have the juice poured in gemelli, we got to add the pectin. We'll be using Sure Gel. Of course, Ball recommends their own pectin, and the recipe calls for 4 tablespoons of pectin. This will help the jelly gel up. Now, I did a little research, and 1 box of Sure Gel equals 4 tablespoons of pectin. But this is where I'm going to deviate a little bit. I want to go ahead and add the 4 tablespoons all through. I don't like making one large pile. And I'm going to go back and add roughly a half of a box, which is about roughly 2 tablespoons, because I do like mine a little bit thicker. About use half the packet, so that's about half or 2 tablespoons. So I'll move these over here. And before I start gemelli, I'm going to go ahead and stir that pectin in. The directions don't mention this, I don't believe, but I notice it just really helps when running gemelli. Now, all the pectin will not all dissolve completely, but it does help if you just go ahead and stir it in there a little bit. Okay. Do that. I will go ahead and put the lid on. And we're going to start with hitting jelly. You'll see she'll beat and she'll flash 25 minutes and hit enter. And then the stir will kick on and it'll start stirring it for us. And the heater will come on and start cooking the jelly. But now at this point, it'll start cooking and then it'll let you know 4 beeps when to add the sugar. And we're going to be adding a cup and a half of sugar. I do the reduced sugar recipe. It's just if I go the full amount, it's just way too sweet. So I kick it down to the reduced amount, which is about 1.5 cups. Alright, those 4 beeps is a signify that Gemelli is ready for her sugar. No, you need actual sugar. Anyway, so now that she's beat 4 times, we need to go ahead and pour it. And I don't like to pour it all in one big heap. I just take it, pour it around. There we go. And I'll help Gemelli. I'll just take that sugar and kind of work it in there, fold it, whatever the correct terminology is. But you don't want to dance on it too long. That's pretty good. Now we'll go ahead and put the lid back on, and Gemelli will start cooking it. Now the timer will have 20 minutes to go, and nothing really at this point changes. She just keeps running, and it'll heat up, and you'll see that convection start to happen, and it's broiling. But just let her do her thing, and when the timer goes off again, it'll let off another set of beeps, but one last steady one, and then shut off. That's when you hit cancel, and she'll go into a warming mode, and that's when you want to just go ahead and unplug Gemelli, because she'll just keep warming, and it'll just, if you leave it, you could potentially scorch it. So we're going to go ahead and let her run her time. I'll bring you back on when she's about done, and then I will go ahead and pull the jars up, and we'll pour the jelly mixture into them. To know though, for water bath canning, the jars have to be boiled in a rolling boil water bath for 10 minutes. And then when you take them out, that way the jelly will be hot, the jars are hot, so you don't have no cool and hot coming together at the same time. And then we'll go ahead and put them in the water bath canner, where they'll be canned for an additional 10 minutes under a rolling boil. But I'll show you those steps when we get there. Howdy y'all, here's Gregos is back. Gemelli has reached 3 more minutes till she is done. I gotta get the jars out, and that's to re-emphasize the jars have been sterilized by 10 minutes of hard boiling, and then they've stayed in an oven to keep hot till this moment to start filling the jars full of jelly. And then when we want to process this, we're going to take the full jars and put them in a water bath canner, and we're going to get that water up to a rolling boil, and we're going to process them, more or less cook them for 10 minutes. But I'm going to show you that process going through now. But anyway, I'll go get my hot jars while Gemelli gets done, and when she gets finished, she's going to let off a couple more beeps with ending in a one steady one. So let's see how it goes. There are my hot jars. I have my flats, which have been in warm water, and I'll explain that in a moment. You'll need a funnel for your hot jelly into your hot jar, and a pair of tongs. Alright, she is done. She's telling you that the jelly should be done. So we're going to go ahead and hit cancel, and then you have to reach over and unplug the machine, because she'll go into a warm cycle, and we don't want to burn her jelly. So we're going to take the lid off. That looks very hot. I'm going to get a rag and grab the stirrer out. I'm going to set it off to the side too. That way she won't get in the way. Now we'll take our ladle and begin filling our jars. Okay. Now there is a pre-described measurement on how full to make your jars, but I do generally with jellies, I will take them and fill them up to the last bottom line right under the ring of your glass jar. Four jars of grape jelly. Take the funnel off. Now comes the next step, and this is an important step as well. But we're going to take our rag or paper towel of white vinegar, just normal white vinegar, but what you want to do is take your rag and go over the seal or rim of the jar. And you want to do each one. Switch your rag a little bit up. Even if it looks clean, it's best to make a habit out of this. Just go over the rim of each jar, and this provides a clean surface for your flat to rest on. Now each rim is cleaned up. We'll take our magnet and we'll put our flat on the jar, and then we'll get a ring. This is a tricky part. If you don't get this ring tight enough, water will fill the jar and then you lost the jelly. But if you get it too tight, it won't process correctly. And the directions only say finger tight. Now, I'm not sure what that means. A finger tight for one person can be different for another. So here's what I do to get this right is I get my rag, I hold the jar because it is very hot, put the ring, make sure you don't cross set it, roll it on there, and then tighten the jar till your hand starts to slip around the ring. Any tighter, it's too tight. Any looser, you won't have a seal. So I'm going to do that again. Right there. I'll just scoot it over onto the next one. Do flat on the jar. Ring. It's tight enough. If you don't feel comfortable with it, take it off and do it again till you get that right. You want to be 100% confident that ring's right. This is a lot of work for you to lose out on. Alright, so we get her another jar. Now, Ball today says for their new flats that you do not have to put them in warm water for you to get them to put on the jar to process. I've tried both ways, and it just feels like that I had a higher success rate if I just went ahead and warmed the flats with water instead of just taking them straight in the box and like they say. But I'm no expert. That's just what I found that works for me. There's another one. Get another flat. And we'll get another ring. I do not know what happened there. It's probably my cat. Decided to take a Evel Knievel dive off the countertop and apparently did not stick the landing. Alright, we'll do that again. I didn't feel quite confident in that one. Alright, now the rings are tight. I'll take my tongs and I'll move you over. You can see down there in the hot water bath, I have rings on the surface of the main bottom of the canner because you don't want the jars to contact the bottom. That's a big no-no. So I put a couple dummy jars in there to provide something to hold the empty space while these jars process their 10 minutes. Anyway, I'll set your camera down. Jar number 1. See, this is why timing is so crucial, because you want hot jelly in a hot jar. That's number 2. So it all meets up just like so. That's number 3. Number 4. And it's hard to see in the camera, but you want at least 2 inches of hot water over top your jars. That just provides a safe level of hot water bath canning, and they process fully and correctly. That's where a pressure canning and a hot water bath canning will kind of differentiate, but that'll be another video for another time. But we'll go ahead and let this bring up to a rolling boil, and then it'll process for 10 minutes. Alright, that's the oven. The jelly has processed for 10 minutes now, and we're going to go ahead and remove the lid. Cut this heat off. That water likes to get a little excited. There's jar number 1. There's jar number 2. There's jar number 3. There's There's jar number 4. Now, before you know that you have a good jar of jelly, it will be when you have to let these rest for at least 8 hours minimum. You want to, a lot of people just let them rest overnight and give it about almost a 24-hour minimum. But as they cool down, they'll set up, and you'll know when you got a good jar of jelly is when they'll solidify and they won't be no runniness like a liquid form. But when it gets done setting up, we will crack one open maybe a little bit early here, and we'll see how it goes. Gray Ghost 55 here. There's been some time passed, and it is now night time, and I couldn't wait the normal amount of time to see if my jelly would finish up, so I stuck one in the fridge to just kind of help it along. So it has not been 8 hours since this half pint of jelly that's been made today. So I got curious and I wanted to see how it panned out. So I made me a couple pieces of toast here. I'm going to be honest with you. I popped this one to see how it was, so it will not have a seal. But when you pop one of these, it'll pop if you've made a good seal. So anyway, let's see what the verdict is. It smells like grape. It looks like grape. It spreads like grape. I'll put it on the other one. But I mean, you look there on that video, you can see it. Or look in the camera there, you can see in the jar. Alright, now let's see if it tastes like grape. Oh yes, it's delicious. That is so good. I was like, oh no, it looks too thin. I was so worried it wasn't going to set. But that is good. That is really good. I'm going to finish that. Y'all just going to have to wait a minute. That is really good, guys. Oh yeah, that is good. Now I will tell you some observations, like we always do on our cooking channels. Lessons learned. It's been a while since I made jelly, so I was really rusty. But the more I did it, the more it started coming back. The recipe. The pectin was right. It needed to be at least 1.5 boxes. So it was really 6 tablespoons of pectin. And I put 1.5 cups of sugar in it. That really needs to be 2 cups. I mean, this is set up good. It's easy spread, but in my preference taste, I like it a little more firmer. So I would up it up to an even 2 cups of sugar. But this here, it's well worth its effort. I'm so happy because like when I was pouring it, I was like a little worried. I said, I don't know if it's going to set. But I put this one in the fridge, and it did make the firming up process faster. But the other 3 jars that I had made are still firming up on their own time outside on the counter. But it was well worth it. I'm very happy with it, and I hope you guys like this video. And if you like this content, please give it a like, share, and subscribe. I'll say it one more time, and please click that bell. And if you have any comments, please put them on there. I'm always open to learning new things. If you got any tips or suggestions, or and also, I mean, do you guys like Jameli? Do you like her? Do you think she ain't worth the time? But please comment on there. But remember, and most importantly of all glory goes to God. Until next time, Gray Ghost out.